I thought it was a good idea.
You want the
Nobody's
mold
using
coming
it.
in?
Huh?
You want the mold coming in?
Whoever, it doesn't matter. Hey Joe, whatever I say, I would say that. Why don't we have more people here?
Good morning. Shopping. They're all shopping.
Hello. There you go.
Good morning.
Oh, Michael could not be here. So you're going to meet Joe and Laura,
Myself. Terrible microphone. I don't know what's going
going on here. A lot has happened since the last time we met. Okay, the most recent thing is that Mary, who is the bulletin director, is going to allow us to submit comments, and she will publish them. Okay, so I'm in negotiations right now because I don't want her to say that to us. We submit comments, and then come the September bulletin, they're not in there. Because she requested that she be allowed to post in our group. So we will submit our comments first. If it's allowable, agreeable, then they print it, then I will let them in our group. They will be restricted where they can't, you know, be like when Terry was in the group. You know, but she will be able to her opinion, and Joe, the code director, the two that got appointed recently, they will be allowed in the group if everything goes smooth. Okay, I'm going to give the phone to Joe first. I mean, the microphone to Joe first.
Why?
And you can meet the people here.
It seems like you got to talk in that area there, Joe.
I got a big mouth. I really might not need it.
No, I need it because I need to.
Can you hear me?
No.
No. Hello?
You got to almost put your mouth right on it. There you go.
Okay. My name is Joe. I live on Oranjestad. I've only been here about a year and a half. I have met many of you at the pool. To be really honest with you, I wasn't going to run. My experiences as board president of HOA up in Hamilton, New Jersey, which is outside of Trenton, for about 6 years. I was on the finance committee for about 8 years. I'm doing the best thing. It's not working.
It's working if you talk into it.
I'm sorry?
It works if you talk into it.
Keep your lips on.
Again, I was on the finance committee for eight years. Board president for 6. I was involved in the social club for 8 years. So I know how an HO runs and what's supposed to be. I decided to run after meeting a lady named Diane and Mike. What I've heard over the past year and a half, what I've seen over the past, it's just not the way it should be. A lot of things that need to be changed here start with total transparency, complete honesty, and we got to get your respect. I have a platform with a piece of paper, but I'm not going to go through that. Basically, as a board person, we work for you. We're supposed to tell you everything. I found out a lot of things about this board. Operated the clubhouse, bought a vending machine. Every time we did something, it was done in an open meeting and voted on. So you walked out of there at 9 o'clock after the board meeting, and you knew exactly how your money was being spent. We had it was a small community. It was only 136 owners. So it's a lot different. Yes, sir.
Just a question. You said you walked out of there at 9 o'clock. Was that 9 o'clock at night?
No. Yeah. Our meetings were 7 to 9.
Thank you.
Okay, because the community had some workers. There were a lot of people that worked. The community was run by a property manager, so it was easier also for him to be at every meeting. One of the things that I've noticed looking at the budget here, the last meeting I requested a balance sheet. I don't even know where your money is, my money. I have no idea. They have no savings account, they have no CDs, and they have no money markets. We're not going to get a lot of money through the banks, but at least you know where your money is and it's gaining something. There has to be a team, okay? Laura, Mike, and myself are going to work as a team. You cannot have a board member who, and if he's here, unfortunately, yell at people about grass. Personally, I think Mario and John should resign immediately. The conduct is unbecoming of a board member. I ran a board for 6 years, never told somebody to shut up. I don't ever remember slamming my hand on the table, telling somebody you're out of order. I'm going to give I could go on and on, but I'm just trying to give you a little bit about my background. I do feel I'm a good fit. I have the experience. You will get a dedicated person. I put a lot of time into running the past board, made a lot of changes. We spent money, but the improvement was night and day. The only thing I can tell you, a lot of things need to be changed here. They can't be changed overnight or within a couple months. It's going to take some time. Anybody got a question or about myself?
You got my vote.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Michael? Laura. Thank you.
Welcome, Joe.
I'm so nervous.
Yeah, it's all right. You can be nervous.
Just look at me, pretend you're just talking to me.
Okay. Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Laura. As most of you know, I've met a lot of people here already. I moved here from New York City a year and a half ago, where I was the president and the treasurer of a co-op board that consisted of 6 apartment buildings with 800 apartments. So it wasn't as big, as many shareholders as here. But as Joe mentioned, as far as the finances, my past co-op board did the same thing his co-op board did. We invested the money in money markets, CDs, property, and when I left New York, they had an account, an operating account. I left them with $20 million. And I also refinanced the property, so they were in very good shape when I left. What I'm hoping to do on this board is I would like to gear it more towards, I'd be happy helping the shareholders. Maybe, I'm thinking maybe I could be in the office a day or two, and if anyone has complaints or issues, I could handle them directly. And a perfect example would be, at the board meeting, at the last meeting, people were complaining about deer in the yard, the amount of deer. I don't think one person should be calling at a time. I would like to make the calls myself and help everyone. Another issue would be the grass cutting. That meeting was 2 or 3 weeks ago and the grass still hasn't been cut. I feel like they should have been on the phone 24 hours a day. You're going to find someone else. It's something that they're just not doing. I want to add to it, like I enjoyed being on the board when I was on it before, because I also worked as a real estate paralegal, so I'm kind of aware of the laws and what's going on, and I hope I get your vote.
Thank you. Okay. Recently, they have put in the bulletin that you just got. They had posted the schedule for the meetings for the rest of the year. It still wasn't an adequate posting, but it's better than no posting, okay? And then I kind of clipped it and reposted it so hopefully that everybody could follow and see when the meetings are. The important meeting that nobody ever goes to is that 10 o'clock in the morning meeting, because they are required to explain everything to us. Meaning, I want to buy Pepsi Cola. Why? How much does it cost? They have to tell you that before they vote on it. Okay?
You couldn't talk.
Excuse me?
Excuse me, I thought you couldn't speak. You can only
We cannot speak in that 10 o'clock meeting because it's a board meeting open to share owners that's required by law that they explain what they're spending. It doesn't matter if it's $5. They're not allowed to spend without this open meeting. We can't stop them from spending, but it puts in place a delay. So they can't just run out, change the wood shop into a yoga room, spend $10,000, tell nobody they're doing it, okay? And then, after it's all done, oh, we changed the wood shop into a yoga room. You can't do it that way.
It was supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, it doesn't. There are no more surprises.
Well, that's what I heard. It was supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah, we're campaigning differently. We're campaigning on
Transparency.
one platform, and the platform is, if the law says you must do something, you as a share owner, you will be doing it and following that law. If the law says as a director or as the board of directors, we must do something, we are going to do it that way. Everybody follows the law, you have no argument. Now what you have is a debate. You don't like this law, you stand up, you explain yourself, we discuss it, and whether we want to amend the bylaw or the rule, that's what we will do. But we will always debate it first. Then we still have, as a board, the deciding vote, but at least we'll listen to you first. And most likely, the deciding vote will always lean towards the favorite vote of the share owners. We need to reach more share owners. We don't reach enough. Okay, so this is something that we all must do together. Talk to your neighbors. Get them to understand. I know but it has to be done. We're going to be passing out flyers, and hopefully that you'll knock on doors or stick it in, in the flag where the mailbox is or on their windshield somewhere, so that they're aware that the election, most people really do want to change. This has been long enough for everybody that's been on that board. Okay. I have heard that Terry was going to run, wasn't going to run, was going to run. Okay, the last statement that we got from her was, I'm running because I want to save Greg and Judy's job. Now, nobody ever said Greg and Judy's job was in jeopardy here. Okay, but as a director, we would be responsible to evaluate everything. We don't say, don't look at Greg and don't look at Judy, but look at everything else. Okay, we need to look at everything. We need to save money. The biggest problem we have, let's say the loudest problem that we have, is the grass. That is going to be the hardest thing to resolve. So what we need to do is, let's cut back on our maintenance. Let's cut back on our expenses for employees, because we're spending, almost half the money goes to the employees. We have 7 employees. They're getting almost $800,000 of benefit. Just being an employee. That's way too much. Okay?
You have to be an employee.
Yeah. All right. So what I would do is I would go through the budget, which I have put in an Excel format, where I can track every dime that they're declaring. Okay? And excuse me. By doing that, I can shop each category. They're not shopping anything. If you look at last year's budget proposal and this year's budget proposal, there's very little changed. Okay, because they're not shopping, they're just writing budgets. Okay, a budget is not a binding thing, but it's got to be close. And when you need to save money, you need to shop. Okay, for one reason, I would shop the bank. They're working with Wells Fargo. We're paying upwards of $10,000 a year just to bank there. No, that shouldn't be happening. We're putting in $2.4 million. Okay, yes, there's a lot of transactions and stuff, but I can guarantee you this, that either Wells Fargo will adjust their charges or we're going to get another bank. Because I know other banks charge you nothing when you put that amount of money through their accounts.
Why can't the employees pay part of their
Benefits and stuff, of course, yeah.
Well, you know what? Believe it or not, I just got the 2020 account statements for our general account. Okay, I've been chasing this. Actually, it's been 370 days, over a year. I've been chasing this. I want the statements for the bank account. Well, so far, I have the general account. And I just glanced at it briefly, and I was looking through it, to the point where they sent it through an email now. Now I can really zoom in and read the checks that they wrote. Okay? Now, I did see 2 checks in there that I said, what the hell's going on here? Greg and Judy both got a refund on their health insurance. I think that's what it was, health insurance. So they might be contributing already. I don't know. Okay, because they each got a $200 rebate last year. Okay, I could also see that in the month of October, we wrote a check to Brian's Tree Service for over $100,000 just for 1 month.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so yes, there were storms and this, that, and the other thing, but you know what? You're supposed to shop that. Why give it to Brian when the other tree services may be, I don't know, 5,000 less, 10,000 less, anything less is good. You got to put the pressure. You can't just, Brian is sitting back and saying, I'm getting all the work. That cannot happen. Okay? Unless you did a yearly contract. Okay, you could say, I'll give you a yearly contract for $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever. You know, I think that the normal amount is like $75,000 a year, just for down trees, picking up, you know, cutting down stuff
Not a
that should come.
development this size. No.
I don't know what it is.
think-
Yes, sure.
Does Brian work for the community?
No, he's a private contractor. No, he is not. Okay, so he is not bound, or we are not bound to him.
I wasn't sure if he worked for the maintenance department.
No, he's an independent contractor. So, if you call up and say, I got a tree that fell down on my property, I need this tree removed. Okay, of course you're going to contact the office. The office contacts Brian. They don't contact 2 different people. They just go to Brian. Brian comes out. If it's in the common area, he'll work on it. If it's on your property, you have to pay for it. So,
So you might as well shop around that.
right, you're supposed to shop. I would think that a tree contract would be a benefit. Okay, where we know every year how much we're going to spend or close to it.
I personally think you guys are coming on at a good time. There's a lot of new blood that moved here, and I believe they'll be more interested. I mean, you're lucky if there would be 50 people at a meeting all these years. I mean, maybe once we had over 100 for a quorum. But the people that have lived here for years say, oh, there's no sense. But they can't be bothered, and a lot of them are older too. So they cannot be bothered. But I think you're coming at a good time, and I think you'll be able to get a little more.
I would think that our platform and our strategy to getting share owners to the meetings and more involved is going to work tenfold. Okay, where you can't get 100, I would think that we're going to try to, you know, we're going to get 300. And there's reasons why, and I can't expose everything because I'm recording this, I'm going to put it online, and, excuse me, they're like hawks. I think they know, if I go to the bathroom in my own house, they know. Okay, that's how much they hawk us. All right, and it's the truth. And they get it so fast, faster than the members in our group get it, they already have the information. So they're planning strategies now. This is the first time in such a long time that they must run for election. And this is from this day forward. They always have to run. If there are no opposing candidates, there still has to be an election. That's the law. Because we have the right to do a write-in vote. And because we have that right, that's the American way, there has to be an election every year. So there are definitely different standings. Everybody is going to receive a mail-in ballot. If they allow proxies, you're going to have to get, everybody gets a proxy. You know, for the in-person ballot, everybody's going to get a copy of that. Okay, that's going to make our job as a group more important, because if your neighbors are getting the ballot, we need them to fill it out. I don't care who they vote for. Pick anybody on this sheet, I'm happy. Okay, but whatever, they have the right to vote. Vote. It's probably going to be a double envelope type thing like in the last presidential election for privacy, okay, with a code on it and stuff like that so they can retrace it. So what happens is all these votes come in. We need to get these votes in, okay? Once the votes come in, then they are opened in public. They can't go in a back room and open the ballots. They have to be in public, okay? So once they're all open, they count the votes, then the actual ballot will stay exposed for 90 days, where anybody can go and look at them. If you question the vote. You know, if you don't question the vote or you're happy with the turnout, then that's it. It's on to the next thing. Okay, once the election's over in November, we still don't know the date. We still don't know who the competition is. They're not announcing anything yet. Once that election is over, the new members, if let's just say we're elected, we have the right that day to sit in every meeting they have until the power turns over to the new board. Okay, which is not a long time, but still a month and a half is definitely a good way to go. Okay, so we're going to be allowed to do that. Okay, then once we're in, we'll sit down, pick who's going to be what, you know, as a director, and we're going to propose a lot of different changes about that. Okay, I personally feel that if you want to be vice president, you should run for vice president. And your competition should be qualified for vice president. Same thing with the treasurer or the president or the secretary. Okay, so then you can weigh the competition. Okay, I think it was Dawn Bennett, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was a secretary that took minutes. They posted in our group, they took minutes, and you know, the minutes that we're getting is ridiculous. Okay, so if she decided to run, then you would weigh, you know, the secretary's qualifications and format compared to the candidate. So that's something I would want to do. Doesn't mean the board is going to want to do that, but I think that that's a better way of doing it. Right now what happens is you vote for a director, then once all the directors, you know, get the winning votes, those 6 directors sit in a room, or 7 directors sit in a room, and we pick the president. We pick the 7 votes, pick the secretary or whoever, okay, the grass director or whoever. Okay, I'm happy coming in 8th, so, just so you know. But, even if I come in 8th, I will never stop watching the law, watching what they have to do, and make sure they do it according to the law. You cannot bend the rules. They bend them to this day. Okay, Terry put a posting, and I know it was Terry that put it in there, that said something about taking the minutes of the meeting. And then she put in bold, didn't have to be, you know, this way or that way. Okay, so that automatically tells me Terry did it, because she's the one that's always putting like comments in bold. All right, but that was false information. That's why I posted the rule, because it has to be detailed. So in other words, now when you go to a meeting, and the minutes of the meeting, it should say, John McGinnis, president, is here. Terry Restano, vice president is here, and name every name has to be pronounced, every director's position has to be announced, okay? And that's just the start of it, okay? Everything that they do has to be not completely detailed, but it's got to be explained to where you understand. I'm taking, like what they said in the last meeting. They said, we voted, and I was there for the vote, so I know they voted. We voted for Jeannie to have a pool party, and we're going to pay for the DJ, $350. They voted for 3 different parties. They voted for the last one, the next one, which is August 13th or 14th, whatever day, and then the Labor Day party to use this DJ at $350, I think, each party. They voted, everybody voted, yes, yes, yes. Then when we had our open share meeting, they did mention that. That's the way it's supposed to be done for every single expense or procedure, even procedures. So in other words, okay, here's a big one that's really got my goat, is the parking lot to the first aid squad, okay? And the reason that it's got my goat is because it was done illegally, and it was being, I'm gonna say, processed by the lawyer. I was in the room, and they were like, oh yeah, I'm in conference with John now about the situation. Then in the lawyer's workbook, he writes, there is no lease as of this day. There is no lease or rental or sale agreement or anything as of this day, which was the day before the meeting that I sat in, okay? Then about a week later, all of a sudden, no, we came to agreement with the first aid squad. That's illegal. You can't do that. Okay, number one. It says in the workbook supplied by the lawyer, it says right there, he covered his butt. It says right there, you cannot lease property or do anything like that without 2/3 of the share owner's vote. And they ignored it. John ignored it. John's a liar. I'll call him a liar to his face. He ignored it. That's really a goat that I have, and I really, really think that when all's said and done, John can be held liable for any loss of income that we may have had, which this first year is going to be minimum $25,000 plus the expense to do all that, you know, to lease the property. Okay, any lease. Go ahead, Sal.
So today,
Yes.
what is the scoop about that property?
Okay, the scoop on that property is that we leased the property to the first aid squad for $1.
Okay. And
Okay.
they have liability.
And, well, that's the question we've been asking, and we're not getting that answer. To the point where, excuse me, to the point where John said in the last meeting, I don't know, I can't quote him exactly, but his message was, the mayor is assuming the liability for that lot because the first aid squad is nonprofit and, you know, an asset to the community. Okay, so I think it was Lisa. She got up, and she's an insurance agent, so she knows a little bit more about insurance. How does the mayor even have the authority to do that? I think that was a bullshit, excuse my French, explanation, because you're not allowed to do that. I can't say, oh, I'm gonna put a big trailer and attach it to my car, and my insurance company is going to be liable for it, you know, without paying more money. Not happening. You're not going to add millions of dollars in exposure to an insurance company without a rider, without an explanation, and without a fee. If something happened, God, you know, hear me, nothing happens. I don't want anything to happen. But if something happened, what's going to happen in a lawsuit? Well, the insurance company is going to say, you didn't legally lease that. You're responsible. I guarantee it. That's what's going to happen. Because they go to the letter of the law. And if the law says you cannot lease that property without 2/3 of the vote, and you leased it anyway, you become liable, not the insurance company. And that's a fact of life.
Can that be undone?
Whatever.
Leases and contracts. Okay, like Greg, the maintenance guy, he gets a contract. Judy gets a contract. The contracts are only for 1 year. Okay? So they got to get renewed every year. That's the law. So I don't know, you know, do we have to wait a year? Probably. And probably once, if the new directors come in and we get a majority, we would probably have to wait a year before we can dispose of them or change the contract, or, you know, but we have a year to evaluate everything, which is important. We need time to evaluate. We know nothing. I've been chasing documents for over a year. I still do not have them. You're not going to get that with our board. If you request the bank statements from me, you will get them within 2 weeks, not over a year later. You get one statement, but then I find out that we have 3 bank accounts. They never told anybody. They told everybody in the first meeting, oh, we have 3 checking accounts, because I exposed, from what I can see, that we had more than one account. Okay? And my request was for all the bank statements, and I only got the general. Okay? I'm not pushing that issue right now too hard, because we have to see how the election goes, right? If the election goes and we're in, I guarantee you the next day I'm in that program, and I'm going to look.
No, you're not.
Oh, that's what they told me. No, you're not. But the state said, yes, you are. Okay, I've been in communication with the state since February, when they started denying me stuff and taking too long, and the state has got my back. I have never inquired to the state any issue that I'm chasing where they said, Mike, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You know, because if they told me I was wrong, I would stop. If they told me I was wrong about how many seats were open, where am I going? I'm not going to chase a dead horse. Okay, so that's where I'm at. If they tell me, the state tells me that the law is different, then fine, then I'll stop, you know, and I'll move on to the next subject. But once I get elected, okay, I have the famous word that Terry loves to use, a fiduciary to all of you. To all of you. Okay, that if I feel something is not correct, or needs to be looked at, or needs to be verified, as a director, I have the right to do that. And I don't have to be the treasurer to do it. I could be any director. Okay, questions? Yes?
Mike, I had mentioned on the Facebook page for us that Leisure Village does the closed circuit TV for all their meetings. So it includes those that are invalids at home and just elderly that can't get out.
Absolutely.
We invest.
Absolutely. And I know that a lot of our community does not have internet, but a lot do. Okay, and right now, as Sally said, oh, they're lucky to get 75 people in a meeting, but you know what? If we can post live and recorded the open meetings, both of them are allowed to be opened, okay, and we are allowed, there was a new law, we are allowed to video, okay, and audio, okay. I only do audio right now because in the bylaws it says audio, and I need to investigate what the state says, you can do video. But it doesn't say you must have in your bylaws that you can do video. Okay, so there's kind of like something I need to research there. But as a new director, another one that we have discussed this, we want open meetings broadcasted. We want the minutes broadcasted so that the people that are working when they come home at 8 o'clock at night or whenever, they can sit down and watch the meeting. Not that they're going to say anything. They may even email us and say, look, I don't like this part of the meeting. Can you look into this? And give us suggestions on ways to approach the minutes, you know, the subjects and things like that. Okay, but that's what we need. We need community response, and we need to get it out. Okay, it's not a hard thing to do. I posted, I don't know, sometime within the last month, a video that I thought was amazing. It was the Zumba class. Okay, she's made this video of the Zumba class, and I think it was like a 25-minute video. She did it with her iPhone. That's all it takes. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do this. And we do not need expensive cameras and things like that. Okay, we need do a video for you to watch while you're listening to the recording. Okay, if you're listening to the recording, you're gonna, you don't need to know who's who, but still you'll be able to hear and watch. Okay. Also, what I did notice that one of the new state laws is that when we do open meetings, okay, like the 10 o'clock in the morning meeting that nobody can make or whatever the story may be, we are allowed to do that over the internet. We're allowed to do that video. Okay, Michael's working, so that's a tough meeting for him to make. Okay, but he can do, I don't know, Facebook Live.
YouTube.
Okay, as long as you have access to the audio and the video, it's legal. We can do it that way. Okay, so right now the way they do it is they do the 10 o'clock morning meeting and then they do the 1 o'clock afternoon meeting, which for the working members, it's no good, either one of those. They can't make either one. And they want to make them. They want to know. So I think broadcasting is the way to let them know. Okay, questions?
All right, you getting rid of the lawyer or gonna look into
All right.
it first?
All right.
Because,
Listen, all right.
Excuse me, one
Go ahead.
second. If you, as the new, say the new board comes in, and you have a conversation with the attorney that is very familiar with all the rules and regulations, I know he does a lot of other associations, but I know you can find another. It's not like you can't. But he's familiar with this, that we were in whatever ship. So anyway,
Okay.
it is what it is.
I follow you.
I think that's something to look at.
Right. All homeowner associations, planned communities, that's what we are. We're a planned community. We share the clubhouse. We own the clubhouse. Okay, all those shared communities all have the same laws, exact same laws. Okay, my opinion of this lawyer and a lot of lawyers, because I've been watching a lot of YouTube on lawyers for homeowner associations, and they all like to skirt around the law, find ways to skirt around the law. Okay, as a director, I will not allow skirting around the law. If the law says A and we want B, we need to change, amend the law. We're not going to just ignore the law. They ignore the law. The current board ignores the law, and they actually, I couldn't believe that they said this, we're petty. We're petty because we want to know, how the law is. Any information that we ask them, they should give us immediately. There is no law that says we can't give you. Oh, yes, you can't tell, about the bad standing members or whatever, okay? But one thing that they should tell us is that let's just say we have 5,000 votes in the community. They should tell us 1,200 of those votes are not in good standing before the election, because it's important to know. Okay, and each one of those by law has the right to correct. The only way you could be in bad standing now is you owe them money, okay, or they got an issue against you and you didn't settle it, but you owe them money is the main thing. If you pay up your fine or whatever, or your fees or whatever it may be, you're automatically in good standing. And they must be notified before the election, I think like 14 days, to give them the chance to, if they want to vote, they got to pay their fees. So they have to be notified of that. Okay? But, like I was saying, if there are 1,500 or 1,000 or even 500 people not in good properties, we're talking properties now, not in good standing, we should know what that number is before the election. Okay? Questions?
My question is, the last vote that they had to change the bylaws, you have to have 2/3 of the community vote yes. So they worded it so that if you don't want it, you have to come in and vote no. So anybody that didn't come in
Right.
voted yes. Is that
Right.
legal?
Believe it or not, I saw that in the state bylaws. The state allowed that to happen, okay, because like our community, we don't get enough people in to vote. Okay, so the way they worded it was if you need 10% negative vote, you need 10% no votes. No, we don't want type votes, okay? If you don't get 10%, which in our instance would be, 340 votes to deny the amendment. Okay, so any amendment they can produce, or we could produce, that's the law. 10% negative vote. But people didn't understand that, and if we objected, I think that we would have objected to the $20,000 expenditure cap. Went from $5,000 to $20,000. That's how they got that in there. There was no 10% negative vote. Okay, so they got that law, and a couple other laws they got in there too. I don't think that law would have passed if we canvassed and said, look, we need your vote. Okay? And then we need, if I got to bus you in or I got to pick you up and get you to that meeting to vote, then we need to do that. And as a team, that's what it's all about. Okay?
You said they didn't file that with the state anyway.
Yes, they did. It was filed, and I think it was filed in 2015. I do have all the amendments. I think have all the amendments. When you move in, because our bylaws are not up to date, they are also required to give you in print the amendments. Okay?
They do.
Yeah, they should. Yes, Nancy.
That meeting Chris was speaking about, I mean, that was so horrible, and so many people got up and said, what kind of way is this to inform us of something we're voting on? And a lot of people said, that was not in my maintenance fee for the year, it was not in there. So many people said that. And how do we know when it came back that they counted the no's or didn't just throw them all away?
Well, every vote now has to be public,
Terry said
but I
yes.
think that 10% negative vote requirement came from the state, and then we adopted it. Well, if the state does an amendment, we're automatically adopted. We have no choice when the state does the amendment. Okay, we need to follow it. Okay, and that's what happened with the Radburn laws, is that the state demanded these amendments, and there is no, you can't do this, even though our association is last on the list to comply. Everybody else is trying to comply. I've read all different writings, and if you go, this is funny too. The bulletin, Mary, she posted in there, oh, you want more information, you want to contact us, go to holidaycity.org. Okay, so I go to holidaycity.org, and I click on our association. There's no information in there at all. It's from, last month. There's really no information in there, and there's no way to contact them through that site. But what I also do is I read the other papers, the other, like Carefree and South and Westerly, and all these different associations, read their writings. That particular publisher should lose everybody because they're terrible. Nobody's updated. Now, I don't know if it's our fault. Maybe we're not giving them the updates. Okay? But what we want to do is we want to have control of that website. So, in other words, the bulletin goes out, you get it, you can go to the website, you can see it, you can read it, but also we can edit it. There's going to be a party in 2 weeks, or whatever, we want to edit it, and it'll be notified on the website. Things like that. You'll be able to contact us, email us individually. Okay, that's going to take time to get it together, but there are publishers out there doing it. Okay, I found a publisher that's amazing. I don't know what it costs. We have to evaluate all that, but it's something that we need. Okay, we need to reach the community. Okay, questions?
How do we get them from this day forward
forward to open the middle gate and the kitchen.
All right. I found in the rules section, okay, the rules are in the back of your bylaws. Rules and regulations, I think it's called. Anything in that section can be edited by the board of directors at any time. They can change that rule. Okay, and there is a rule in there that says, I did send it to Patty, it says no swimming apparel in the clubhouses. All right? No swimming apparel in the clubhouses. So that's the issue. They're saying, oh, because we can. Well, because that rule is there. Okay, but as a director, I would say, okay, we got about, 1,500 square feet before you even get to the clubhouse door. They should be able to, the share owner should be able to use all of that. Okay, and then also, how about everything located within 12 feet of that door? We put a carpet there so that people can go in, get their ice. They're using the pool. Where else are they going to go? They need to go somewhere.
I was told to go out the other door. They told me, he never told me that I couldn't have a bathing suit on.
Well,
So what's the difference?
Okay.
The middle thing, you can't have a bathing suit, but the other entrance you can?
Right.
That doesn't make sense.
I contacted the
And that was Greg telling me.
Ocean County Board of Health. When my old board, the township was responsible for the pool. We had 4 doors and 2 gates. For safety reasons, they all had to be open while the pool was open. That middle gate, if there was an emergency, somebody had a heart attack or fell, and first aid comes through that hallway, what do they got to do? Now they either got to jump the fence or go. The gate's got to be open or just removed. It's a safety issue. I've left numerous messages, and they have never called me back.
What about the kitchen?
Uh,
But when that was a smoking area, that gate was always open and you had access to the clubhouse. So how's that work?
Well, I think it just goes to the, lack of a better word, bulliness. Okay?
Not only
They
is
can
that
do what they
gate
want to
locked,
do.
The door is locked.
Oh, the door also?
Yes, ma'am. I said to myself, you know what? God forbid, I know I can scale that gate. No sweat. So I said, you know what? I went around and I said, the door's locked. So even if I scale the gate, now I'm screwed. Because I gotta scale the gate goes back over. So that door is not, the gate's locked and the doors are locked.
But
And I
wait a
even
minute.
said to Terry, wait, you're telling me. I said, why isn't that gate open? Because we can.
That's right.
I said, wait a minute, so you want me to go in that door, all the way across the clubhouse floor,
Right.
and all the way down, to go get ice?
Right.
Well, maybe by the time you get through, you'll dry.
Not only that, they got Zumba classes going on now, everything else is going on in the club. Yeah, in the building. So we gotta walk through that. The other thing is, it's supposed to be open from 9 to 9, every day, the clubhouse.
And just that statement, because we can.
I know,
is
she's a
so
bitch.
condescending.
Yeah, very.
That's not the way to
That's
deal with
Terry.
people.
Right.
That's really condescending,
Terry.
The one thing that I wanted to just touch on that Mike was talking about, what I would like to see, the board does meet about an hour or 2 hours before a general meeting, open meeting, just to discuss things, make sure everybody's on the same page of music. The president makes the agenda, goes over it. If we're on the board, what I would like to see, whether we're buying a can of Coke or resurfacing the pool, which I understand needs to be done, okay? All voting for everything, all expenditures will be done at an open meeting. A motion will be made. Somebody will make the motion to buy 6 cases of Coke. Somebody will second it, and then the board will vote on it in front of whoever's in attendance. That's the way I worked, and that's the way it should work. This way you know where your money's going. There's nothing hidden.
Right, they said they need 3 bids.
You should have 3 bids. Sometimes, to be really honest with you, when we did it you can't get 3 bids.
I know.
That's a big
The
problem.
other thing is you gotta be careful for what you wish, because sometimes it's a better
Well-
price, but they do shoddy work, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just laughing because that was John's closing statement.
And what we also do need is working committees.
I didn't know that, I wasn't there.
No, it was in the paper.
In the paper.
I'm
be
sure
careful
I
what
read
you
it,
wish
but I
for.
didn't remember it.
I keep wishing for that convertible Audi. What we're going to be looking for is getting working committees. Getting a finance committee with 4 or 6 people. I would love to see a retired accountant on it. Because you have a person now who brags she could balance a checkbook. My 10-year-old grandson could balance a checkbook. It's no big deal today. We need a working finance, a working committee to, lack of better words, beautify this community. I mean, you got people, I'm lucky, but I know I have friends and see neighbors, you couldn't sell your house because of the condition of their neighbor's house, okay? That needs to be cleaned up, okay?
We're not allowed to go on other people's property.
Well, it's not even you going on, it's unsightly, it's hoarding.
I know, but I have been on the committee with Clean Up Tom's River, and we are not allowed to go on their property, take
Oh.
limbs, take whatever.
They're supposed to clean it up, it's in the bylaws.
Correct, they are.
Yep,
Absolutely. But
yep,
if they're sick and
yep.
old and can't get outside,
Yep, well, we'll see.
A lot of old.
And what we need is better communication. I would love to see an email program. Some of the questions about voting, it should be put out there as soon as it happens. The website that we have, Mike wants to redo it. We're talking about maybe getting our own website. They're really inexpensive today, where there's communication between the board and the owners. Your comments, our responses, and stuff like that. I know Mike's big on those 2 things.
The other Mike.
The other Mike.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. The teacher Mike.
Oh my gosh.
Any questions?
That's gonna be tough.
Comments, thoughts, remarks, or criticisms?
Not me.
I just want to address the gate issue again. Okay, we're going to have a ceremony if we win this election. It's going to be a gate cutting ceremony. All right. But
Because we can.
you have to think outside the box a little bit. Okay, I can understand there's a rule that says you can't wear your bathing suit in the clubhouse. Okay, even though they only follow half that rule. Okay, I have never been in the area where the ice machine is, or the area that you need to access through the pool from the pool. But if you put a carpet 12 feet, then you put like a fence, not a fence, like a railing. Do not go past this spot,
People bitch about that.
or you will get a $25 fine. Period. And you got a camera right there. All right, so that's the way to have access to that area. Okay, you're worried about people slipping on the floor or whatever your
then put the ice
explanation is.
machine outside.
Excuse me?
Then put the ice machine outside.
Or, yeah, or even
Different
do a little.
location, closer to a door.
Yeah, you know how they have the closed-in little shed thing for the music? You put one on the other side for the ice machine, or if that's all you're really looking to do is get ice.
You're alleviating everything.
There you go. There's simple solutions to it, but they don't care. They're not going to listen to our solutions. Okay, they are just going to do basically what she says. Okay, and that's the way that the whole thing has been running for a long time. Okay, don't be fooled by anything else.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
The last meeting that we had, remember you were talking about the guys being, building something inside the, I guess where
Where the-
maintenance workers are?
Oh, the wood shop.
Well,
The wood
in
shop, they were working in there,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, why can't they just make like a little, thing for the ice machine to be in so it
Yeah.
can stay outside?
Well, that's
And it
a
could be,
solution,
where
and
you need
they
it.
don't want solutions. They want to tell you, we are locking that gate, and we're locking that door. And that 2,000 square feet of real estate that you own, we're not allowing you on that property.
Well, then
Okay.
give me back my HOA.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what they
Well,
should do.
we're kind of stuck there. Yeah. question? I can't hear. Somebody in the back got a
Way in the back.
question?
Chris, open your
I was
mouth.
just making a comment there. Why don't they put it in the budget they built for first aid?
Yeah.
Gentleman way in the back.
First aid if you get hurt.
White t-shirt.
Yes. I read online about this QuickBooks issue that they wanted to change accounting programs. Why?
I don't think they did it.
What program are they using now? Top
They were using QuickBooks forever. Forever they used QuickBooks. I'm gonna give you another little story about QuickBooks. Must be out of Rangers.
Oh my God.
When was it? After the last meeting that we had, the open meeting. At the end of the meeting, I felt disappointed because they never gave us the agenda before the meeting, which they were required to do. Okay, they should have told us the accountant's going to be there and the lawyer's going to be there before we got there. Because if that happened, I would have been more prepared. Okay, but I did approach the accountant at the end of the meeting. And I said, Skip, if I knew, you were going to be here, I would have had some questions for you. But I'm a little bit upset because the closing balance of what the association says we have in our checking account, and I didn't know the exact numbers, and I don't know them now, but is $200,000. When you did your budget report for the same exact year, your closing balance was $220,000. And when I get the bank statement, it says the balance is $180,000. I got three different numbers. I go, that can't happen. I've been in court for financial situations, and those three numbers should be the exact same number. Then Paul, the lawyer, comes up and pulls Skip away from me, which was rude, but that's what he did, and I just left. Okay. 2 days later, I get a phone call. Now, you didn't hear this one. I got a phone call from Skip. He says, Mike, he goes, Skip Bauer, he goes, I've been, for the last 3 hours, trying to figure this out. He goes, but, it's been bothering me what you said to me at the meeting about the balances and stuff. He goes, I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. This is the accountant telling me that he does not know what our board of directors or our treasurer or our whoever's doing all the book work, he has no idea what's going on. Okay? Then he says to me, I don't know how, because they're projecting it one way and we're seeing it another way. And, he says, I don't know if it has to do with, the 2 months time period between the print and the closing of the account. I says, it doesn't matter, Skip. No matter what, the numbers have to get together sooner or later, and they're never together. Okay? I go, one way to accomplish something that's more understandable for everybody and actually easier for everybody would be one checking account only. Okay, yes, we know you need an account for your capital improvements. All right, so the money goes in there. We got $600,000. It sits in that account. All checks are written from the main account. Okay, now the capital improvement becomes a category, not an account where, the money's getting transferred from here to there. I mean, if you look at the bank statements, they transfer on the same day. They're taking it out of the general account, putting into the capital improvement account. Then they're taking it out of the same day. You're taking it out of the capital improvement account, putting it back into the general account. It's like all over the place. And why? Okay, so that's the question that I have. I've been chasing the finances for over a year. I'm not getting answers. I do not have the statements for the capital improvement account. I could see them not giving me the statement for the payroll account because it's more of a privacy type thing, confidentiality type thing. But when I become a director, I'm going into all of those accounts, and then I'll be able to trace the money. I'm not accusing them of stealing anybody. Terry had said, oh, you accused us of stealing money. I never accuse them. I accuse them of misrepresenting the money. So now I'm asking you to represent the money. That's all I'm asking. You can represent it, but you don't want to. I have a lot of different things going on. That's why I ask for your help. I need your help to form committees. Joe was saying about committees. Okay, so if you read the bylaws, it says, okay, we need a chairman. So Joe's going to get up here. I'll be the chairman of a committee, any committee. Okay, and the bylaws say that then Joe has to pick 6 more share owners to form the committee, to be a legal committee. I say change that. If Joe wants to be a committee, 1 helper is good enough.
If that's all you need.
That's all you need. I don't need 7 people looking at a checking account. Okay? So Joe goes and he wants to be the finance chairman. And he does an investigation. He comes before the board. And he explains what he sees. Then the board has a binding vote. In an open session, we are going to reevaluate the bookkeeping on this account because Joe found discrepancies, or whatever the situation may be. It could be the entertainment committee, could be any committee, doesn't matter. The chairman cannot enforce anything, but they can, respond to the directors, and then we investigate or whatever, make a decision and vote, we'll go forward or not go forward. Okay, but the problem is, it's very hard to get 7 people. So let's get rid of the 7 people. Make it, if Joe wants to be a chairman and he's got 2 people, that's good enough for us. You need at least 1 person to back up, because you don't want a troublemaker, right? You want somebody that can verify, okay, that what Joe did, what Joe says, I agree with that, okay? And there are plenty of people that have been in bookkeeping. There are plenty of people that have been in secretaries and things like that would help us if they knew when they came to a meeting they weren't going to get screaming and yelling and who the hell knows what's going on, because that was terrible. We got 0 information in that meeting. Okay? One of the other things that I think that should be done is that when you get your director's report in the beginning of the meeting, okay, Mary, what do you have? I got nothing. That's never going to happen. That is never going to happen. Every director is going to give you a report. If you can't give me a report on what you're supposed to do, you're going to give me a report on how you help the other director do something else. Okay? Because we're a team. We're not individual directors. You can't have it that way. Okay? And the way it is right now, believe me, I have more than enough information to verify this. Terry runs the show, and they all raise their hand and vote with her. Okay? Barbara was president in the past, and she may have ideas, and, the same thing with John. He's been president for, I don't know, quite a few years. But it's definitely run by Terry. There's no doubt about it. She's been here the longest. And her resume is going to be the hardest resume to defeat, because she's been here the longest and she's done a lot of things. And I told her when I first met her, I know you have done a lot. And I know that you are the smartest one on this board. And you have more information than anybody. Okay? I wasn't looking to fight with her, but everything is a battle. You can't get the information. Okay? And an example would be the fiasco with our dear friend Paul Meyer trying to get this cable bill. Okay? He drove everybody nuts. He drove us nuts. Okay? But it didn't have to happen that way. They could have just gave him the bill and be the end of it the first time he asked. All right, so he has a little problem the way he asked. You know what? But he did ask for it. Just give it to him. Why do I have to wait a year for something that you were required by law to give me within, a reasonable time? Well, all right, you come in next Thursday or whatever is fine. I don't care. We're all retired here, or mostly. Okay, but that's the type of thing that we go through. And you can, as a share owner, you can submit a question. They're being a little bit more responsive right now. I've noticed, I've heard from a couple different share owners, oh, I can't believe that, I got responded to like immediately. So, but that's because they have to run for election this time where they never had to run before.
The Wi-Fi is still an issue.
The Wi-Fi is an issue. They gave us a Wi-Fi password, but they didn't give us like the name of the Wi-Fi. You know, so they got, if you try to sign in with the Wi-Fi at the pool, you got like 9 choices. You don't know which one it is. And the Wi-Fi password is 20 letters long, you know, capital this, 3 numbers that, and, you know, so if you type one number wrong, you got to do it over and over and over again, and you don't even know if you're on the right router. Yes.
Question. According to the state, is there a certain amount of years that a person, a share owner, can be on the board? Because I bought in 2009. Seems like Terry's been there really.
She's been there a long time. She's been there probably 10 years, close to it. I think Beverly, the secretary's been there over 20 years. She did have a little break in the middle, but if you go back into history of when they did amendments, okay, which everybody has the right to look at, I found her signature back in the in the 90s. You know, 99, 98.
Which goes to what you just said. I mentioned to Mike the other day that realistically, keep them as your friend. You need to pick their brains. Terry's got a lot of connections. Each one of them may have connections. Get the connections, and then you can do as you please.
All right, we're not in a big hurry anymore. And to what Sally just said there, every one of those directors had their first day. They knew nothing. Okay, and they learned over the years, and some retained what they learned and some did not. Okay, but right now, the one that retained is ignoring and giving false information. Time is up. You're done. Yes, you did a lot for us. Thank you. It's not like, you know, John was crying. Nobody thanked us. We've thanked you 10 times over. We can't take the condescending meeting and the way you are. I mean, I saw a lady walk into the office, and they got the, you know, the glass window there, and it looks like they got a new receptionist there. That receptionist was so nasty to this old lady. She had to be in her 90s. For what reason? Why are you being short and snappy with this lady? And she's shaking. She's trying to fill out a form. She doesn't know what to write or do. You know what? I'm going to come out there and I'm going to write it with you. Okay, we're going to go over to the library and we're going to figure out what has to be done. And we're not going to be sticklers.
They're told to be nasty.
I don't know what they're told, but it was definitely not the way to be.
We had a maintenance guy, Sal, who used to be security maintenance. And if I ever mentioned half the shit that he told
You know,
me,
I did hear of Sal, and he did post a little bit, but he definitely, you know, wants to keep to himself. And some people are like that, that's fine.
That's crowd
they're
control.
told not to talk
Yeah.
to us.
That's crowd control. More people don't show up if they're nasty
Right.
enough.
They're suppressing our community is what they're doing. They don't realize it, but that's what's happening. Our community is not coming out. We are going to get them out. I could promise you, our attendance rate will quadruple the way we're going to get people to come out. Okay? Or even if it's just, you know, with the internet. In other words, okay, so you want to watch the meeting. In order for you to watch the meeting recording on the internet, you're going to have to sign in, so we're going to know you were there. That's important. Who is watching?
Who's taking an interest?
Right. I had invited several other, I opened up the membership to our group for a reason, because I wanted the local neighbors that are in South or Carefree or whoever to join our site, and let's combine our knowledge and try to figure out what the hell we're supposed to be doing. Okay, so we did get a couple new members that are, I think I got like 30 people sign in that are not Holiday City Berkeley. They're only going to be there until November, but the information they're providing me is very important. These are the rules, they're following the rules, and actually one of them said, we've been working with your lawyer for the last 8 months with the same rules that your association has done nothing with. How could that be? That's why in that meeting, that lawyer didn't say a peep. Okay, he didn't say a peep in that lawyer. Why did we even have him there? He didn't say anything to anybody. Okay, so I say, you know, that's got to be evaluated. I think Sally asked before, what are you going to do about the lawyer? I know that a couple of the local communities are looking into getting rid of him. Okay, and I have looked into other associations, you know, the lawyers that they're using local, but it seems that the better ones are like, you know, out the Camden area or whatever. But you don't need them for everything. You really don't. They're supposed to be advisors. When a director comes up with an issue that they don't really, my opinion is on it. I'm not looking to get around the law. Okay? I think that our directors now, they look to get around the law. Okay, but we're going to stop that. Yes, sir.
I got a quick statement talking about the woman in the office. I went in the other day to make payment for the trip on December 8th to Longwood Gardens. Don't go to the office. Call the name of a woman on the thing. The office had the wrong times, the wrong date. It's the right date for the thing, but you're only allowed to sign up for it at the office on the first and third Tuesday of the month between 12 and 1. And I went in after 12 and she said, well, it's not the first Tuesday and it's 11 to 12, not 12 to 1. So I called the woman and said, come over to my house and give me the thing. So call the woman.
Well, listen, that was even before, you know, COVID, and they had committees, and then they would meet, because people don't want to be available.
In closing, I have to say we need to get the majority. We need everybody's support. We need you to get out there. I know a lot of you said you're going to do it. They're telling me, the board is telling me, yeah, they tell you they're going to do it, but you watch what's going to happen. Look, we need your support. We can change it. It's going to take years once we're in, but we need a majority. We cannot go in there with less than a majority. I think, you know, this coming meeting, we need to find out the process for the voting, okay, because there seems to be different opinions, and I'm open for some to be correct, meaning that there are 6 seats open. Do you pick 6 people to fill them, or do you just vote for 1? Okay, that's the question. Okay, and it doesn't detail it in the bylaws how the voting goes. Okay, and that's why I would say, you know, in the future, if you're voting for the vice president, well, then that would be a vote. And then you're voting for the treasurer, well, that would be a vote. Okay, but the way it's formatted now, I don't know how the vote goes, because you're voting for a director. They're all equal. They're all equal. Okay, so hopefully things will work out. The campaign is really going to kick off like the end of September. Okay, it's a little bit early right now. You know, hold on to your flyers and things like that. The signs cannot go out before October 1st. They can stay out from October 1st through November 30th. Okay, that's what it says in the bylaws. Okay, so October 1st they can go out, and then we can start our camp. That's why I'm saying late September, the last week of September, we'll start, you know, the campaign door to door, and let's get these votes and find out, you know, the very important question: do you have internet? Because we don't have to do Facebook. We can have our own page where everybody gets a code to go in and watch the meeting. You're registered, you have, like, my ID number is 2217. All right, so I go in, I put in 2217. You know it's me. You know it's me. Okay, and my attendance is that I've seen the meeting. Okay, and that's what we need to do. We need to get out there and find out who's got internet, how many people. I would think that the turnover rate of residents that we have here now, a lot of them have internet, a lot, because we have 50% new people in the last 6 years. So you have that generation, and we have to look forward to the next 6 years. Okay, the next generation, as they're coming in, 300 every year, you know they got internet. You know, very few are not going to have internet. Okay, and if that's what we need to know, because then we can build our platform, build our association around that.
It would be nice to have insurance.
Yeah, I'll make
Oh,
it.
look at that get her.
Yeah, all right.
They'll show up to me.
I need like editorials or comments from members, anybody that can write a good comment on, you know, your opinion of the last meeting or whatever. Okay, no questions, just comments. Okay, because that's what they're going to let us do, and then we're going to build a strategy around that, and hopefully get exposed. Because don't forget, they have exposure to 5,000 people, and we don't. And that's why they use that platform the way they use it. You know, John is like, oh, nothing's wrong in this place, you know, and then 5,000 people reading it figured there's nothing wrong with this place. Because the president said there's nothing wrong. Well, that's where our comments come in.
A lot of people don't like it.
Right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right.